And here we have Paul Ryan. I've had Paul Ryan on this program. I'm very friendly with Paul Ryan, but that doesn't stop me from being critical. The Washington Compost. 2 weeks after the end of his failed vice presidential bid, Paul Ryan was already thinking ahead to another big fight, immigration reform. So here the guy loses. And what's he thinking about? Immigration reform. And he's thinking about it in a bipartisan way. Ryan ran into his old friend, Representative Luis Gutierrez, who is a radical nutjob, and urged him to restart his effort to get a comprehensive immigration package through Congress. So here we have Ryan encouraging Gutierrez to push it. Ryan's arguments stem from a religious and economic foundation, not from the huge political liability the issue had become for the Republican Party. You're a Catholic, I'm a Catholic. We cannot have a permanent underclass of Americans exploited in America, Ryan told Gutierrez. Thinking to myself, we cannot have a permanent underclass of Americans exploited in America? Americans? These are foreigners. They're not Americans. And they must really hate it here since they won't leave. Who's exploiting whom? Congressman Ryan. And by the way, when you speak as I do, which is factually, well, you're turning people off, Mark. We're never going to attract people to, oh, liberty doesn't work. No. You can't, forget about liberty, all these highfalutin theories, liberty, private property rights, wealth creation, job, forget about all that. Stop. So there's Ryan, not to be outdone. There's our favorite congressman, not Eric Cantor. By the way, may I ask you, Mr. Producer, I ask you this in all seriousness. Is he wearing a toupee? I'm not trying to be rude. You think so? Well, at least he's not doing what Schumer did, which is drill holes in his head and plant hair in it. That I'll never understand either. Oh, Biden, he set the fashion template for that. Now they all do it up there on Capitol Hill. But anyway, listen to this from the so-called news site Politico. 2 top House Republicans are writing legislation that would craft a path to legalization for young immigrants who were brought to the United States illegally as children. Really? What are they doing? Eric Cantor, the second-ranking House Republican, and House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte, both of Virginia, are working on the legislation tentatively titled, let's hear the title, The Kids Act. Oh, man. How can you vote against the Kids Act? It's for the kids, after all, because it's the Kids Act. Though its objective is similar to that of the DREAM Act. Now, the DREAM Act, which was defeated just a few years ago, has been instituted in many ways unilaterally by our president, who's fundamentally transforming America. But you know what? The DREAM Act, the Kids Act, it's just swell. Now, though its objective is similar to that of the DREAM Act, by the way, folks, the jury in the Zimmerman trial is still adjourned. Now, the objective is similar to the DREAM Act, a bill that has lingered for years that would allow eligible young undocumented immigrants to obtain citizenship. Cantor and Goodlette's version is certain to have key differences from that legislation. Both members voted against the DREAM Act in 2010. Oh, well, we used to call that flip-flopping. Now we call it evolving and growing in office. Too many old white men. It's funny hearing about too many old white men from too many old white men. And by the way, old white women, too. They all, but anyway. The children, I could do this in my sleep. Listen to what Goodlatte says. The children came here through no fault of their own, and many of them know no other home than the United States. This is one component of immigration reform, and any successful reform plan must improve our legal immigration programs, strengthen our... What is going on here? They all talk alike. They're starting to all look alike. They're acting alike, regardless of party. Children came here through no fault of their own. You know what, folks? I've talked about this before. Lots of things happen to people through no fault of their own. Let me give you an example. In this case, of course, we have illegal aliens from other countries. That's why they're illegal aliens. Coming into this country illegally. That's why they're illegal aliens. Having children. Because our law, you see, if you have a child here, they're automatically a United States citizen. Even though the Constitution doesn't say that. That's how it's been interpreted. So they came here through no fault of their... Wait a minute. They came here through the fault of their parents. Well, what are you going to do, Mark? Hold it against them? I don't know. Let me ask you this, folks, and I've made this example before. When we send a parent to prison for, say, tax evasion, some kind of tax fraud, That's not the fault of their children, is it? No. And yet, let's take a single-parent home. Let's say it's a mother. She's embezzled funds, or she's charged for that and tax evasion on top of it, and she goes to the federal pen. Who's going to take care of the children? I mean, after all, they're now without a parent through no fault of their own. So why do we enforce the tax laws in situations like that? Because then the burden falls on the children, doesn't it? I don't know, Mr. Goodlad. Have you thought about that? What are you going to do about it? And nothing.